Very excitingly and very predictably, we're live again. My name's Matt Bailey. I'm the National Ambassador for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society here in Australia. I go live every single night, as I've said numerous times. But this time it's just Friday Night Drinks. I'm joined immediately by Matt Wooler from Dram Nation and from all sorts of other shenanigans. He's here we're just going to have a chat and talk through a few things. And he and I talk I'm going to say almost every day. About all sorts of nonsense. This time, however, he's got flashing blue LEDs or something around behind him. And is that a Kalila next to you as well?
What's the society code for that?
Is that a 53 next to you right now?
Yeah, this is a 53.OB. Oh, turn that around a little.
53.OB.
Yep.
Of course, anyone who's wants to jump in on the actual live stream tonight and jump into Zoom, you are welcome to. You have to be a member and you have to have a name. So that was one of the problems we bumped into in the last couple of weeks. If you try and join into Zoom and it just says like Joe or Tom or whatever, please put a full name in there just so I know who it is before I admit entry. I think that makes sense. It's not too much to ask. Stuart Mountjoy, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Emily Jane, good to see you. Hope you're well. Tuning in all the way from the UK, of course. That's great.
Watching me eat burgers.
Yeah, Emily, you're watching Matt Waller eat burgers from the UK. You know what? We've reached peak civilization at this point. Nothing left to do.
Hey, I needed to get here on time, didn't I?
Well, it is 7 o'clock.
Feed the kids first and then feed me.
That's very nice of you. So, I was going to start by asking, what have you? I'd like to know what. I'm going to ask those watching along in the group, but also yourself, Wooler. What have you drammed on recently in the last sort of week or two that's really sort of surprised you? Anything you've tasted recently that you did not expect it to be what it was, or it's better than what it was, or it was worse than what it was, or?
My Glen Wonka bottling is better than what I've been expecting it to be.
That's actually rare because Glen Wonkas are never good.
No, they aren't. It hasn't been very good, but it's been topped up quite a lot. But no, not really. I haven't actually. I'm still churning through some things that I normally have to finish first before I open something new. So
you don't keep many opens at the same time, do you? No.
Not at all.
No.
Just because they go pretty nasty. After a while, in my opinion, they tend to lose all their vibrancy, the things that I really look forward to in a whiskey.
I end up tasting. I did a stream on this maybe 3 months ago. That I don't generally do Glen Wonkas because I just find they're not very good. I mean, you blend all these things together and you end up with this sort of half-mast sort of.
Oh, totally! It's a mess.
It's a mess. Yeah, total mess.
Good to cook with, though. But I do add a lot of it.
Yeah. No, they're good to cook with, but there's not really. It doesn't really provide too much. It provides a bit of fun, but it's otherwise, it's not good for drinking whiskey. It's not a good appreciating whiskey. It's a good drinking whiskey.
Oh, there's definitely no appreciating.
No. It's not appreciation. Not about appreciation at that point. It's about, Anyway.
Absolutely.
Annalisa, good to see you. I think your audio is still connecting or something going on there. You're working that out. That's okay. Louis Duckett joined. Good to see you, Louis. Victoria, good to see you. I'm going to say Victoria. I think I might be pronouncing your name wrong. You've got a J near the end of that name. Victoria. That's okay. I'm going to try and get as close as I can. People are tuning in, which is great. This is Friday Night Member Drinks. This is just a chance for us to catch up, have a chat about some things, talk about what people like, what they don't like. The question I asked Matt Wooler just before was, what have you tasted recently that has sort of blown your mind? Yeah. Why is that doing that? I'm also having a bit of a tech issue here. Here we go. Ah, I can hear you now, Annalisa. There we go.
Yes, we've sorted it all out.
Yeah.
Problem in changing it all from one day to the next, or one part of the day to the next. So.
Steve.
Love that.
I'm just.
You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel.
Yeah, no, I also just renamed you to your name instead of Anna's. So I've renamed you to Steve Oates ! Of course.
Thank you very much.
Actually, I could do better than that. I could do better. Actually, I'm going to do better than that.
Could you incorporate a fez somehow?
Fez. Well, you're in the room with Matt Waller, who is the Fez King.
Oh,
he's got a mouthful of burger at the moment.
Looks like he's ducked off to get one. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Steve.
Hello. This group certainly talks more. I was facilitating a meeting and everyone just came in early and they just go hi and then just sit in dead silence until the meeting starts. Very strange. It's a really odd experience.
It's funny. I think people are still getting used to the idea of how to interact on Zoom, on how to do Zooms. It doesn't happen like that in a normal meeting. You don't sit in the meeting going hi and then wait for the meeting to start all in silence. That's not how a normal meeting works. So I don't understand why people would think that would work for a Zoom meeting either.
No, well, and this was odd because it was WebEx, so it's all the one person who's speaking dominates the screen, and there's just little ones up the top. And it was normal because normally everyone would come in and be chatting away, and
sure.
It's like, right, we got to start.
No, fair enough.
What is the agenda
Tonight? Good.
Yes, no, I'm sort of incorporating meetings and tonight all in one.
That's right.
No, it's just Friday night drinks. I never really have an agenda. I just like to have a bit of a discussion about different things. And the question I asked Willa before was the agendas for the other nights. They're all the other nights. On Friday nights, I just like to ask what's the I was asking Willa what he's tasted in the last couple of weeks. Maybe that surprised you. In terms of what have you tasted that surprised you, that sort of taken you by surprise. You know what's taking me by surprise at the moment is that damn towel. What is going on here, Steve? I want to know what the idea is with the towel.
Well,
you wash your hair.
I've just washed and conditioned my hair.
Oh, not your beard.
Oh, well, that too. That's part of my hair, I guess. But yeah,
Don't have a skin towel.
Just to keep it out of the way while I was eating my mushroom ragu for dinner. Mission accomplished.
I actually had a battles track lined up for you, Steve, on your arrival, but I didn't queue it up. I'm sorry. It's ready to go.
That's right. I was a little bit late. I had to download the app again and
all that. Yeah.
Technology, blah blah blah.
No, you seem to manage just fine.
In the cupboard.
So you've got a dram and a cup of tea.
Yeah, I like both. I was in the mood for a cup of tea, and I also had a dram going anyway. So why not?
What variety is your cup of tea?
I'm an Earl Grey man, absolutely, and the more steeped the better.
Okay, so are you
blackest?
Are we talking lemon or are we talking milk?
Love's a good tea bag.
Love's a good tea bag.
Wrong forum.
Yeah, wrong Zoom. Matt, where's your headpiece? Yeah, Willa, where's your headpiece? Is that what you're asking? Do I normally have a headpiece, or do you?
I didn't ask anything about no headpiece.
Which headpiece, Stuart? I want to know which one you mean. Durbridge says he's a bit tied up for family stuff at the moment, but hopes to join in a little bit later on. See how he goes. Always good to see a bit of Durbs.
Right.
Yeah. All good.
Looks like Matt Waller's bought his own snacks tonight.
Yeah. BYO snacks. He did say bring your own snacks.
Yeah, bring snacks.
I found some Jats. That's pretty sophisticated for my snacks tonight. There you go.
Everybody loves Jats, surely.
Okay.
That's Glen Wonka.
Oh, wow.
Chips and the homemade aioli. So
nice.
Very cool.
Steve did a very beautiful beer battered fish as well. So that's
yum.
Yeah, awesome. Speaking of beer battered, I love making my own tartare sauce. It's so easy to make, and it's it makes such a difference to the end result. And then when you try like a bought tartare again, it just tastes like sugar.
Yeah.
They're sweet, and
it's like making your own Thousand Island dressing. It takes like 30 seconds to do, and it's so much better than that stuff in the bottles.
Yeah. I still don't even mean my headpiece. Anyway, Steve, tell me. So apart from the towel, have you tasted anything beer or spirit wise in the last week since last Friday drinks that you would like to remark on?
Well, actually, what I've been enjoying a lot recently, and it was after you and Matt Wooler were talking about Coolila, and I sort of piped in on that conversation with unpeated discuss.
Yeah,
and I decided to open a Coolila 18-year-old unpeated. Mate, if you poured that in a glass, I would defy anyone to recognize that as Coolila. It's so rich and creamy. Not that Coolila isn't, but there's not a hint of peat, which is unusual because most of the unpeated Coolilas I've had before have a hint of peat.
Well, I mean, the thing is, how many unpeated Coolilas have you had in that age range, though?
Not that old, but maybe between 12, 14, 15 years old where the peat's a bit present. So maybe it's dissipated, or maybe this particular run they cleaned the equipment a bit more thoroughly. I don't know.
Yeah. It's tricky though, because obviously, as you know, peated whiskey, even like lightly peated whiskey, after 5 years is quite peaty. After 10, loses a bit more. After 20 is very, very light in the peat. Very, very light. Age in cask creates a fruity, woody profile that is not about peat. Oh, something going on with my hair there. Where's that come from? But like and that's why, like in that case, I'm guessing that tastes as peaty as unpeated as the 15, but with 3 extra years in oak.
Yeah, and there's some vanilla elements to it and some earthy elements to it that are just moreish.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I've been enjoying that, and I was surprised by it because even though I knew it was unpeated, the lack of peat was.
That's because it's unpeated.
Unanticipated. No, but
it's on the label.
It does what it says on the label.
Yeah.
Going to write back to Coolila.
I know.
Peated whiskey has no peaty back.
Annalisa, Steve, what have you had lately that's any society casts, anything at all you've tasted that you've gone was unexpected or?
No peat though. No, I was amused going to Lark and seeing their sophisticated peating operation. That was hilarious.
The malt toaster.
Yeah, the toaster.
Like an old toolbox. And you sort of with a tray which has holes in it. So you put the peat in the bottom and then you sort of like put a bit of barley in the top and that's it. That's pretty much it.
Australia whiskey tends to be repeated. Repeated whiskey as opposed to an actual peated.
No, the latest one was a percolator of pine cones, which suddenly appeared, and I thought, no.
So that was good. So that was fun because we got to do that with this one, which we picked up, or Steve picked up last year.
Yep.
At Greville Street, and so it was fun to be able to do this two side by side and actually get the
distillery character in there.
It's funny. I featured that percolator of pine cones at the Melbourne Gathering, in the event I hosted at the Kelvin Club last year, and it was one of the standouts by a long shot. Even though there was in that same lineup, there was like a 22-year-old sherried whiskey and a 11-year-old peated whiskey and all this other stuff in there, but there was like this one. I think it was because that particular cask had such a savory note to it, almost like it had you could taste a pine cone in the flavor profile, which of course there's no pine cones or anything used in the production. But and
then what was the other one that tasted like the Abuna?
I'm trying. It was past the main base, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and we were surprised how similar the.
And Leslie didn't tell me which one it was, so I had to guess.
Yes, yeah. He was so disappointed that the whiskey tasting championships were cancelled. So
yeah.
it's been
You and me both. Don't worry. Yeah, no. Look, that's probably the first or second most asked question at the moment is when will the champs come back? And it's restrictions are starting to lift here and there, but not really for champ-sized events just yet. And I don't want to. It's a tricky line to toe because, like, what do we say like, oh yeah, it could be come back. We could realistically look at doing it in August or something. But then, like, that's only 2 months lead time to do it.
It's like next year.
Well, that's where we sort of ended up. We've gone, well, next year would be the safest bet. And, with all the COVID stuff, which no one wants to talk about COVID, but you know what I mean? With all the COVID stuff, it's kind of like there could be a second wave and then suddenly you organize it and it gets to get cancelled again. And it's an expensive way to find out.
Yeah. I mean, if you did it this year, would the sponsors still be on board to the same extent?
See, that's another problem as well. I mean, the sponsors would have to change it and the offering would have to change. And the first prize in previous years has been an all expenses paid trip to the UK.
Yeah,
that's not looking so good at the moment.
No, exactly. So how do you manage a trip to the UK as a first prize? So yeah, that makes it tricky. As I said, it's yeah.
Is it not possible for it to translate online?
Oh,
what a nightmare!
It's funny you ask that. I mean, I had a good chat with Durbridge about this because he's been working on this event format, which could easily be translated, like could easily work in each city in Australia. It could be like this event format that he's been working on. And I had a chat to him about it, and I said, "I'll run through it with me, and so we can see if it's possible for this kind of format to work online." And it kind of doesn't. I was like, okay, well, this is like, sort of second week of COVID where we started having to cancel events. And I said, okay, well, we can't really do that one now in March as we were aiming to do, or April, or whatever it was. So, does that event translate online? And it's like, it doesn't. I don't know if champs would. Maybe you'd have to.
The virtual tasting is good.
Sorry?
The virtual tasting, I think, is good.
Virtuals are great. Like virtual tastings are great. We're doing one big one each month. And we had one go on sale today. Actually, it didn't sell out completely, which is actually kind of a relief. Believe it or not, because it means that there's some left. And if people want to jump in next week or something, there's still one. See, the festival pack vanished faster than you could click your fingers. The fact that there's still a few of these left is good news. Trust me. Still 20 something left, which is great. Out of the 85 we produced, there's 20 something left, which is good. So Andrew and I
tell us the discount code, Matt.
Yeah, tell us the code, son. I don't think I have one. I can't even make one up.
We've been having real fun in this time with a group of colleagues who, for various reasons, I mean, some of them are geographically spread and some have young families, and sort of posting around drams, and then we'll all get together and do that. And so that has actually been really good and worked really well.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, it's even great that you can do that. And I think that's one of the things that's changed very quickly. I think for a lot of people appreciating whiskey and sharing it with people who, when they can't share it with them, is that you can just put up you can do some samples and you can host a virtual. And I think it's, and some whiskey companies, I should say, or whiskey clubs have done it well and gone with the times. And as I was saying to a colleague the other day, I mean, even looking at whiskey bars at the moment and pubs and clubs and bars, some have managed this process really well and some haven't. But only because no one's really navigated this before.
Yeah. No, it works surprisingly well.
Sorry.
No, you're right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as far as Zoom tastings are concerned, me and 4 other mates have been doing a similar thing every Saturday night. One of the individuals involved's got a bit more time on his hand at the moment, so he was happy to drive around and drop off samples for everyone, so we'd all have exactly the same drams, so that we could have a discussion about them which was fantastic and almost made most of us consider doing it on a regular basis after restrictions have lifted.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the ongoing questions, isn't it? I mean, the world of online meetings, all the way to online tastings, and everything in between has erupted.
Yeah.
How much of that is going to hang around after COVID?
Well, it's forced a new level of social interaction and forced technology on people as well. Even for the work I do with the UNSW, it has forced the university to step like 15 years into the future, which is now for them, because things were just so far behind. Everything was in classrooms, single lecture halls, a redundant recording process was involved with that. Now it's all done instantly. It makes a massive difference. And for me, even with the work I do with the students and the way I've modified courses, I've seen the best work coming out of the students this year in this problem situation than ever before. Because they're also much more engaged. They're not distracted by so many other things. And I think it can certainly help in the way you can network with people. Doesn't beat a barbecue with a few beers and a few whiskeys type of situation, but you can. It certainly has given an opportunity for us to. In a lot of ways, you almost converse better. In some ways as well. I don't know. Maybe people are just more like, let's say with having drinks and things like that, people are a lot more controlled about what they're having in, let's say, situations like this online. You're not jumping in too quick and drinking too many things because I guess you're
Speak for yourself.
Broadcast a little bit. I don't know. I've seen people's activities a bit different. But I don't know. It can be very candid as well. And a lot of people sort of aren't used to that candid situation, and they've been dropped into it, and they're probably a little bit more personable now.
Well. I've been thinking a lot about this because I've got to do some teaching in second semester, and in the past, students who don't like to turn up in this course and they get all the lectures online, and they just they split the work up in their group and they don't really meet very often. They're the ones who don't do well. The ones who do show up get better marks.
Yes.
And I'm really interested because I'm still to find out whether it's going to be all virtual in second semester or whether we're going to be back on campus. And I didn't have high hopes for how well it would go if we had to do it entirely online. But I'll be interested to see if what you've experienced.
Well, we're on trimesters, so we get 10-week contact time. I've had to rebuild the lectures quite a lot in order to accommodate and create sort of breakout situations, getting the students engaged, because it's all design related. And one of the things I find most beneficial. Sorry, we are totally not talking about whiskey here, but one of the things
That's good. It's good.
I find great is randomized breaking people out into groups. They can't control it. They're forced into conversing with each other, as opposed to I'm just going to sit in my little cake pan with my 3 other friends, and that's how our groups are going to be. They're forced into conversing in a different way, and I find that's actually quite beneficial.
Well, I think a part of the reason we do it is because it's what people do in the real world, and so.
Yes, it's called business. It's
not business. It's not engineering anymore. It's business.
Yeah.
So I will be very interested to see how it pans out.
I was talking to Jules from Whiskey and Almond on Wednesday, and he was saying like some of the benefits are they can do more tastings and accommodate more people than they could upstairs there. That's leaning towards a positive for them as far as volume is concerned. So
yes, but those people aren't buying extra whiskeys afterwards or beforehand and beers and food from the bar. So
and that's the margin.
Totally.
Yeah, it's that's one of the margins. It's an important one for the bar though.
Yeah,
and it's it's true though. You go to one of their events, and the first thing I always do, I've got this standing order whenever I walk into Whiskey and Almond is I get a Caju Crush. It's my favorite summer beer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'll get a crush and then I'll wait upstairs for the event to start and then go to the event and then get some dinner afterwards and get some food at the event and order another dram afterwards or whatever. Yeah. But
I guess maybe the incentive there is to offer a decent whack off the price of a bottle that's associated with the tasting, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're sort of stuck with this, which is another problem again, because it's like, a decent whack off a bottle that doesn't have great margins to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, it's hang on a second. I've got to let my wife in.
You're all good.
Actually,
You're home already?
well, not into a virtual meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Rochelle.
How are we? Enjoy.
Thank you.
Well, you look at the virtual tastings, let's say like Whiskey Show is doing, and Matt and I were looking at the numbers for the volume of whiskey you're going to get delivered to you for the price that's allocated. And it's insane because there is no way you could drink that much at a whiskey show and not get thrown in jail afterwards. Like
Or during.
it's mental. And it's a dangerous precedent to set going forward, because if too many people get used to that price with that amount of stuff.
I want my 48 drams.
That's right. I want my 48 drams and I'm not coming unless I get it. It's a risky situation to be put into, even let's say from, you were talking about Whiskey and Almond there, about offering, discounts or pricings or things like that, is that they'll then expect it to recur when you're back to doing it in a face-to-face audience. We and Matt and I we discover it constantly. We've been watching it for years because obviously Matt used to work totally independently like me. Is that once the brands couldn't sell tasting tickets anymore, they started doing them for free, and once they did them for free, people weren't willing to pay anymore, but they were expecting higher and higher qualities and higher volume for nothing. And it devalues the situation overall for the experience. So it's a dangerous precedent to set. You need to really ask yourself, is this good going forward, or are we totally stuffed?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, as you say, because you see, if you start offering things that usually carry some sense of value, that's why I'm always against even. I'm just on principle, not on actual carry, but on principle of free events. I generally sort of like it encourages a level of no-show as well, and it encourages a level of if you see an event for it's free, it's like value. There's no value in it. Then is there absolutely no value in it? And I don't mind a discounted event or whatever, but it's a fine balancing act. I mean, at the society we've done events that we did a series of events in Adelaide that were $29 to come for a ticket. And we did an event in Sydney last year that was $740 a ticket, and everything in between. So it's, there's a scale and there's a spectrum and there's an expectation, but I think it's really hard to find that balancing point. I'm just going to do a quick shout out to Rory, by the way, before we press on. Rory, good to see you, mate. I know you're muted, but we'll say hello.
Rory.
Hey, he's gone.
Good. How are you? Hello from hello to our Queensland ambassador. I'm going to call you right now because you're here.
Good to be here. I thought I'd just join in a little bit more formally tonight, but I've got to unpack a new coffee machine I bought today.
Oh, nice.
Dual use the time, but opened up a bit of Pete Ferry tonight and enjoying it.
Well, that'll keep you going. Is that Pete Ferry 1 or 2? 10 or 7?
10.
10. That's Pete Ferry 1. There you go. Nicely done.
Yeah, that was. I'm pretty sure I bought 2 bottles of it.
Yep.
When we had our first beer and whiskey tasting in Brisbane with you, and I didn't remember buying it until I opened up the carton.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Of course, I was not unduly intoxicated. lovely evening.
Yeah. You'd never get intoxicated at a Boilermaker night, right?
No.
It was very nice. It is very nice. And then I'm going to a bit of trifle delight after that.
You're on a bit of a
for the night.
you're on a bit of a heresy bent.
What was that? Sorry.
Focusing on the heresies, the experiments, the experimental range.
Yeah, I hadn't opened any up to this. I'm a very slow drinker.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I've been a member for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years now, and I think I've had 6 bottles total in that time.
Right. Yeah,
I think I've bought a few more than that.
I total 6 or 7 a week sometimes. There you go. That's each to their own. Each to their own. But mind you, I often start with just a dreg in mind at the end of an event. So
Yeah.
Just to verify, though, I really do hope that things like Whiskey Show are successful. It was just more the case of talking about precedents and the dangers of precedents, and people getting used to this if we stay in this situation for too long.
Yeah,
but I definitely don't think the whole virtual thing is going away. I think it's a great method of connection and maintaining your audience. Just got to find that balance.
Yeah, it's partly about marketing. I mean, I worked out that you could, you could get enough calories for an adult for one day out of a bottle of whiskey. So if you can't sell them in an apocalypse, something's wrong.
He did later work out that you don't sober up in that time from one to the next, and so there was a need to get 30% of your calories from somewhere else.
So apocalyptic rationing. Okay.
As long as it was only 30.
I'll be back. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Have you seen the sales go up as a result of all this?
I mean, we saw a bit of a spike in. Well, it's hard to say. I mean, because May was popular. May is popular every year, though, because of being the festival outturn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like it was popular because of the festival outturn. I'd say it's just been steady otherwise. It's been steady otherwise. Even today, the 24.139 was relatively popular, given it's it's nearly 3,000 a bottle.
Has it gone?
I don't know.
Has it gone?
No. I think there's about 4 left out of the 12.
Yeah, so the first 8 went in about a second or two.
Yeah. Because people already considered to go for it. And,
they didn't want to miss out. They'd scraped together the money from somewhere, and they thought, right, I've got it now.
Yeah.
Everybody's buying that is scraping money together.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think there's much scraping going on there, but it was, I mean, I've not tasted it, and but only because it's look, Andrew would probably haul me over the coals if I just cracked open a $3,000 bottle without as a promotional expense or some wording like that. But
but it's just
how much?
He's not going to kill you.
As long as he gets to drink it with me, he'll be okay.
Do it.
I was going to say, well, how much?
Do it
how
on
much
air.
are individuals? How many are individuals on the call willing to put in for one if it was to be bottled, to be portioned out and distributed? Because I would love to try it, and I have a good friend who would love to try it too.
It would
but
be.
I don't think I can justify a full bottle.
Yeah.
But if it was a tasting bottle at a reasonable size, say 2 nips or
2 nips,
a decent dram,
decent pour,
a 4-finger dram, then
100 mils.
So okay, well
that's
then
like about $600.
Well, that's what do we got? That's 100 mils is it's $420 each. There you go.
Plus the postage on top of that. So,
Yeah, well,
we'll pay postage.
throw that in. Yeah, no, it's
a lot more palatable at $400 or $450 than it is at $3,000 for me.
oh sure, but it's also 100 mils versus 700.
Yeah. Hey, that's 100 mils I will never have of a 30-year-old.
That's true.
Of
That's
that
true.
description.
There is another one on its way, by the way, which we might see in July or we might see in August. I'm not sure yet. There's another 30-year-old from Distillery 24 on its way, which is exciting. But yeah, no, it was a pretty mixed bag today. It was a pretty mixed bag of course, Malt of the Month and 30.109 and 35.250 and all that were very quick to move. But Malt of the Month has sort of gotten that habit.
Is it gone? Did it sell out?
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah. That was the I like big butts 7-year-old.
Yep.
Which there's a smidge left in here.
Probably sold on name alone, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Steve bought 4 of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those bottles that after you finish it, you're keeping the bottle.
Yeah. Well, actually, the labels on these new labels are actually much easier to get off the glass. So you can probably keep a photo album of labels if you don't want to keep too much clutter in your house.
Yeah, let's put it next to Ruby Booze Day.
Yeah. I bought a bottle of Ruby Booze Day for myself. That was a great whiskey. And it's funny actually. I'm probably one of the most skeptical people when it comes to the usage of wine casks in whiskey. And I'm just a little bit sort of like, it's not, I'm not super skeptical, but I'm fairly, I mean, I'm always a bit like, okay, well, why it was just, I find a lot of wine cask whiskey not to my palate personally. I like sherry cask whiskey, port cask whiskey, whatever, and ex-bourbon barrels and whatnot. But wine casks for me are often a little bit not my type of whiskey. They're a little bit sort of too tannic, too winey, and this one was just that perfect balance. And I tasted it at one of our events in Sydney, and I remember.
The distillery is still sort of struggling with the balance between using wine casks and other forms of maturation. That perhaps we're still in the formative years of that part of the process.
I think it's formative by a long shot.
You mean locally or internationally, though?
Either or. I mean, locally, we've probably got a lot more experimentation going on because of that's what's available more so than.
And there's less regulation. Far less regulation. But
certainly just a word from our sponsors, Breville, tonight.
We can just take a quick break. A word from our sponsors over at Breville, Small Whiskey Society.
I've got my drugs of choice, all right? Alcohol and caffeine. You've got to feed the addictions.
I'll be making a coffee later, that's for sure.
You can do
the uppers and the downers.
Yeah, you can.
I think that's 12 cups at a time.
Yeah. Oh no, man! Make sure you put that right in front of the camera. We want to make sure the brand placement is on point. Yeah, that's awesome.
Wait! It's a society video, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Frame the shot.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Rory. That's much better. What a wind up.
But I had many discussions with Matt about the first release of the Starwood wine cask. In case Dave Vitale's tuning in tonight, I'm not sure whether he is or isn't. But
he does sometimes. Yes.
Yeah. I think it was on the last session. I still think their first release was by far the best, and that reminded me so much of a sherry cask. The way it was done, it was like really rich and dark and deep.
Which release was this? Sorry,
this was the first release of the wine cask, batch 1.
Oh yeah. I think I've still got one of those kicking about somewhere.
It was lovely. It was so different. And batch 2, it was not the grading, but the flavors were becoming much brighter and more berry sort of related and lighter and lighter along the things. But I think that batch proves that you can make some exceptionally strong, rich, dark, deep characteristics in a wine cask if you're picking the barrels right, I guess. And it was probably quite small batch as well. I don't know. Dave would be able to verify that.
Yeah, the thing I don't understand about this discussion is that why is it that distillers are so quick to admit certain grains and certain yeasts are extremely difficult to work with? So if you look at things like, if you talk to any distiller about the use of single malt barley, malt barley for creating whiskey, they're like, yeah, it's easy, it's great, it's we've got the right grading, the right temperature, the right supply. But if you talk to them about rye, like it's like rye is an impossible grain to properly distill with. It's a hard grain to work with. It's very easily overcooked or undercooked in the mash, and so it's kind of like, and they openly admit that these are hard to work with. But you don't see the same sort of discussion mostly happening with casks. Mm-hmm. Like you say, well, good ex-bourbon barrels, first fill, second fill, refill barrels are great to work with. They're consistent. They know what they're getting out of the result. They're not only consistent, but they're easy to make other things with as well. so they can then extra mature them in sherry butts and whatnot. Whereas wine casks are difficult to work with, evidently from just about every wine cask release we've seen, either being too small a cask, or the wine influence is overbearing, or it's overly tannic, or it's overly dry, and it ends up being a bit of a problem with cask. But no one seems to want to admit that, because anyway, I don't know why, but it's
well. Also, I who knows? I'm not a distiller, but you can also constantly look at the fact that and who did you have on? Who did you have on recently? I think maybe it's one of the other things I was involved with. But how many distillers actually see their product come to fruition as well before they've already moved on to another distillery?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Graham and Faye Cool from Glen Murray said that, sort of, because a lot of the SMWS 35s we were releasing when they were the distillery managers, they were all sort of like 16, 20, 24-year-old casks that then they would say, oh, well, my predecessor made this and my predecessor made this. And it wasn't until I was standing in Queen Street in Edinburgh and I met up with Graham, and it was like his second last week at Glen Murray. And I picked up and they passed me from the bar a 35 dot something, and it was an 8-year-old. And he goes, oh, that's mine. It's like straight away. He's like, oh, I made that. That's very cool. It's like, it's the first, like he doesn't get the opportunity that often, well, apart from his sort of no age statement core range, to taste the fruits of his labor down the track. And what's his face? His name escapes me. The head blender for Shivers Regal, who was recently on the SMWS podcast. He was saying the same thing. He's been with the company 30 years, and he's laying down whiskey now that he'll never get to taste.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like because he knows that now at his age, because he's like, well, he knows that this is whiskey. It's going to be Shivers 25, Shivers 30, whatever they're going to create in the future. And that's kind of weird, isn't it? I think it's kind of weird to like if you create
that might be part of why we don't hear that discussion about casks as much. Because a lot of people involved in it might be inheriting problems or inheriting things that they're not too sure about. I don't know. Don't know. Back in a second.
Yeah, perhaps Australia's got an advantage as far as working with wine casks that other parts of the world don't have. So maybe it'll be an interesting development, because we might come to a realization of how they work before anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, my question is, are you going to end up with an industry where you've got people making wine and putting it in casks and throwing it away to pass the casks on to the whiskey?
Interesting concept, yeah.
Well, it's funny you ask that, because, I mean, obviously we've already seen that with sherry, but with the price of casks now being sold in Australia, did anyone catch the chat I had with Tim and Louis Duckett last week? It was one of my live streams with the Duckett boys from Hartwood TIB, and they were saying that they like the price of. I remember distinctly talking to Tim 5 years ago. You asked that because, I mean, obviously we've already seen that with. Whoa, what's going on here? Ooh, you got some feedback from somewhere. Sam, you got me on speaker as well, have you?
No.
No. Okay.
Hang on, I'll put myself on mute.
No, it's all good. I could hear myself speaking. Yeah, because he said, I distinctly remember him saying 5 years ago that, sherry casks within the next year could be as high as $500. And he was right. And then he said, even just the last week, he said, I reckon they'll be as high as 1,000 within a year. It's like, I reckon they'll be right, because they're already at 800 now. The supply the demand keeps going up for a limited supply. Sam Lucardi, good to see you, mate. You know what? You're well placed to talk about this as well.
Oh, yes.
About the about supply of casks.
We just got 200 brand new ones in this week.
Yeah, right.
So they're all
Henry's. Yeah, right.
So they're all brandy barrels out of South Australia.
Yeah.
So that's sort of our new thing. But there's a lot of, we don't use red wine casks or anything, just because it takes too long to mature anything down in Port Arthur. So we just use bourbon or brandy at the moment. Got some Tawny and a Pera, but they don't work as well as we would want them to. So we've sort of got our little structure. But yeah, we haven't really found any difficulty at the moment getting them, but we reckon in the future there might be. The more distilleries start making whiskey, the harder it's going to get.
Yeah, yeah. And well, I mean, have you guys got a supply contract coming in from like Maker's Mark or something, or where are you?
Most of our bourbon casks come from Tassie Cask Company.
Yep.
So we get them direct through there. But I suppose, yeah, you probably could approach those kind of distilleries directly if we wanted. But at the moment, we're sort of pretty happy with the supply we're getting.
Bunnings have a pretty big supply of Jack Daniel's casks at the moment.
I think we'll get one and do an experiment, the Bunnings edition.
Yeah, I've heard when it comes in, I'm guessing maybe for McHenry's, you don't have the, you wouldn't justify the minimum order requirements probably for a direct relationship.
Probably, yeah. Like not at the moment with the capacity that we've got.
No. I think you'd have to start approaching sort of like Starwood Archie kind of sized distilleries to justify those kind of levels. But yeah, I mean, I've heard it's relatively easy to get casks out of Jack Daniel's, Jim Beam, Maker's Mark, etc. But I've heard it's notoriously getting very, very hard to get ex-Buffalo Trace.
Yeah. So majority of what we use are ex-Makers, ex-Heaven Hill, Russell Reserve, and Hill Rock. So they're the 4 bourbon distilleries we use.
Hill Rock.
Yeah, we've got nearly 60 odd Hill Rock casks. So
all right, very cool.
Some of them are full of weird marketing stories, but we'll see how they turn out.
Or it's like a cask with a bit of marketing fluff attached.
Oh, it's got hexagonal char in it, so they've laser etched it in.
Yeah. Etched char.
Hexagonal char.
We broke one of them up, and it looks like a standard char, so we don't know what's going on yet.
It sounds like you got skimmed on some
a lot of wacky tobacco when they were examining it.
Exactly. But the beauty of for my job is when you do a tasting with that bottle, there's your story.
I found that bottling, the 46.69. There it is. So it was the Ruby Booze Day.
Yes, very nice.
That was the one. It was a personal purchase because it was like I said, it says in the front here, a delightful and surprising dram. Shows unusual restraint, complexity, fruit, and distillery character, which is unusual to find distillery character after 20 years.
Yes.
It says previously in a bourbon hogshead, and then 2 years in a second fill ex-red wine barrique. But second fill red wine, so far less of that, first fill influence. So it's found that really nice balancing point. You know what's cool though? That I like the new labels, but I like the old ones, but I like the new ones I think a little bit more. The slight update that they've had, because it's a bit more transparency. If you Annalise and Steve, if you've got a Spice the Main brace, that'll be new.
Yeah. It's over here. Well, wait, that'll work.
Slight update, yeah. There you go. Yeah. So if you have a look at the 63.60 you've got there, it'll say first cask and I think first and final, or sorry, initial and final.
Yeah.
And it's a bit more transparency rather than saying like on the Ruby Booze Day it says previously in a bourbon hogshead. It's like just in small font, and then it says red wine barrique is the cask. I think I like the fact that there's a bit more sort of, hey, here's what's actually in the bottle,
and all the colours are finally aligned.
Yes.
Aligned, but when you store it somewhere dark, it still doesn't tell you what it is. Yeah, and I do like the fact the colours aren't running across the title, the distillery.
Society.
Yeah, no one could read any of the spicy and sweet labels. We know that.
But there's one thing we've been debating with this one.
What is this? The 6360. Yes. Yep.
It's just I don't know what Archaeopteryx tastes like, and I can't taste any power in there either. I just don't. Yeah. The rest,
just not sure what they were.
What they were smoking, because the rest of the description is fine.
Yeah.
I'm just unsure where they're going with that.
So which wording is it? Which tasting note?
So this is Archaeopteryx.
Archaeopteryx, yes.
Yep. Now I've got no idea why you would choose those two words, because I don't know what an Archaeopteryx tastes like.
No, I don't think anyone on earth does. It's okay. No, I'm sure they were just some of the names are a bit of a piss take. That's kind of the fun of it, although it's a bit of irreverence, not taking itself a little bit too seriously, which is good.
Yeah.
Oh, Miranda Marie joined. Good to see you, Miranda. Hope you're well. Matt Whisker, Gary, Joss, Sally, Mark, Reese, Steve, Jared, everyone joining in. Thank you so much. So that was the piss take. I can't remember where I was going with that.
What about white wine casks or Chardonnay? Has there been much experimentation with that?
Yeah, we had a few. We've had a
White
few
port.
Chardonnay casks through the society, and a few. We don't see too much white port. And we don't see it's
Not made that much now.
No. See a bit of Chardonnay, a bit of ex-Chenin Blanc.
Has there ever been Riesling?
I don't think so because
Riesling.
Sorry.
Again, if Dave Vitale was actually chiming in, Dave always said that through the experiments that almost any white wine would do the white wine task, and any red wine will do the same red wine task when it's being like Solera vatted. It ends up pretty much all doing the same thing.
But I mean, Steve, how would you manage that? You remember that most Rieslings don't ever sort of touch the walls of the cask, and you've got and when they do, they're 1,000 or 1,200 liter inactive vats. You'd have to store a whiskey in there for 60 years for it to have any influence.
It's like when they talk about a lot of wines, a kiss of oak. We're talking like days, if not maybe weeks, and that's it. Most wines just don't see the oak. It'll be like a 30 fill cask before you actually get your hands on it.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing, because it's still going to equate to the same situation.
It's
just not the case of I don't know. Yeah, wines tend to pull a lot of flavor out of oak straight away.
Yeah, and that's why when spirit goes in, it's relying on so much of the X influence rather than the oak, and that's often conflated in discussions about that kind of stuff as well. Caleb, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Happy Fridays.
Happy Fridays.
Indeed.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Good to see another hat being worn. 3 hats.
I have a hat. I'm not wearing it. But
Good. Do it. Wear it.
You can fit that on your headset.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, it was beards. Everyone had a beard. It was sort of like
fucking beards and hats.
Four hats. 5 hats.
Look at this.
5 hats
now.
Fantastic.
I'll come back to that.
This is one of 2 lives I'm on tonight. The second one I had to pre-record because it goes live at so it's not
live then, is it?
Does that still count?
That's a pre-record. That's what we call pre-record, Matt.
Yeah. Well, this is well, let me put it this way: the UK SMWS UK are going live tonight their time, which would have been 5 a.m. my time.
Oh, so you have done what we spoke about, where you just do a looping record of just going,
Yes.
Yes. Hard hats. Not done hard hats yet. This is amazing. Oh, this is going to be a first.
Because the wall behind you is white as well, and it's almost like
I can look further and find some coloured ones if you want.
Yeah, we need the white balance off those.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I've got yellow in the car outside if I duck outside, but it's cold.
No.
Put a full-face mountain bike helmet on too if you want.
We're going high-vis vests next week.
Yeah.
I can do them now if you want to.
I got a long sleeve high vis. No vests, unfortunately. Actually, one of these tonight.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Good whiskey.
The single private barrel pick for vintage cellars on them.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah.
I did that one
look
as
at
well. Double Russells. Double Russells.
Steve's got a dirty the Russells
Which barrel is your one?
This is the 18-0999.
Oh, I have one of those right here.
Beautiful. And they're quite relatively they're a good price at the moment.
I picked this one up today, and it was I think $59 down from $89.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I just didn't find any difference between that and the normal single barrel. It's a good price, but don't get me wrong. But
okay,
I didn't find any difference between that and a standard release.
All right, I never had it, and I was like, look, I need a daily drink of bourbon.
Yeah. I've always said that the Russell's 10 is a good daily, a good whiskey.
And I have a filter stout.
Oh,
yes.
beautiful.
a man after Steve's heart.
Ah. Was it you that was drinking it last time, Steve? Because I only picked it up because someone on one of these streams had it, and Matt was raving on about it.
Yeah, feels good. Feels good.
I have had the filter stout on here once before at 7%. It's a cracker.
It's great. Even better when it's clearance at Dan Mertens.
Oh, hello.
I'm having the brewery Mischief Hop Belgian style ale, 8.5%. I was worried I was going to be passing out by now, but I'm still doing all right.
You need to fill that big glass.
Pint glass, come on.
Big cans.
But
what they say.
That's why I've been drinking quite a volume of whiskey with it in order to actually just tone down the sweetness that's coming out of the can. It's not too bad though. It's pretty well balanced. It certainly doesn't come across as 8.5%. But it goes exceptionally well with my Glen Wonka, and it goes exceptionally well with what's a Glenlivet code? That
2.
Okay, so 2.0B Najura.
2.0B. Sure.
And what did you have?
I've got a lime cheesecake sour.
Oh,
who makes that?
Valhalla Brewing down in Geelong. Whiskey and Almond had a big beer sale, so I stocked up because I ran out.
Nice.
Is it enjoyable?
I like sweeter beers, so this is nice.
Right.
So it's very easy. It's like 1.1 standard, so you could drink a fair bit of this, I reckon.
Yeah.
I tell you what's good is the Merryman Pop Ale. That thing is so much fun.
You mean the Steve
like having a creamy soda. What is that?
Anyone for coffee?
I thought someone was smoking a bong. My God, what was that?
Gurgling.
No, unfortunately, there's drug tests at work, so it's just the coffee machine going through its first run to clean itself out.
Right.
That was the condition. I was advertising the Breville earlier before you joined, as it was being unboxed, live unboxing.
Breville placement.
There's good money to be made in unboxing, Rory.
Society unboxings. There you go. There's a new one.
I really don't think I have the face for it, though.
Yeah, I never thought we'd stoop to unboxing videos, so I don't think I'm going to start now. So that's okay. That's okay.
The society will get in trouble for all that styrofoam that you guys send out.
Look.
Then you don't want us to send it back to you. No, we don't have a way of sending it back.
Look, I know that styrofoam,
that's right.
Polypacks aren't the most environmentally friendly thing on the earth. We are experimenting still at the moment with other packaging options. However, as I've said before, in 17 years of the Australian branch, we've never ever had a bottle delivered smashed. I've had probably a dozen bottles smashed delivered like broken glass and wet soggy box with a whiskey in it.
Yeah, but how many icebergs melted for that?
Wow.
How many seals did you beat?
We're pretty small. It's okay. We actually get the polypacks made out of live seals. Actually, that's not even poly. It's just live
as long as they're pups, it's okay.
As long as they're pups, it's fine. Yeah.
This is live, right?
Like to say,
live. Yeah.
In this day of COVID, where you've got all the little rooms and that sort of thing, we've actually found them really useful because we're sort of building furniture out of them. So they're here and the table over here, like they're great because you're like, I just need a table to put something on.
I just have like a half dozen of them shoved under my bed. I don't want to throw them out. And I'm like, oh, maybe they'll come in useful eventually.
Yeah,
it's like
that's called society guilt.
We finally moved into our permanent house, and they did come in handy once. And now I've unpacked them all. They're just a giant space taker. Like you say, I don't want to throw them out.
Matt's just like change the conversation. Come on, just
no, I'm fine. Absolutely fine. I just don't know how to respond because I'm just like, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like, yeah. Look, we looked at the inflatable ones as well. We're still in the process of those ones, but it's just there's all sorts of logistic levels of how it sits and can our warehouse deal with it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
I got another totally different topic then. Has anyone noticed the influx of distillery-made sanitizer and how much it smells like new make?
Because it is.
Yes.
Oh, it is. And that glorious, I go into places and they give me some sanitizer and I see the label and I go, this is going to be great. And it's on the hands. I remember traveling around in Scotland when we were going to distilleries and they'd give you some new make and some places wouldn't let you drink it, but you could put it on your hands and rub it in and smell it.
Yeah, you have
now
the
I'm
smell.
walking around in shopping centres, wiping this stuff on
Smelling
my
my
hands and
hands.
sticking my hands to my face, which is just what I'm not meant to do.
Just like a new form of huffing.
Oh,
Yeah,
Be
sure.
addicted to it.
I will fly back to Sydney and pay another $700 and whatever you charged me last time I came down in order to have a new make tasting if it could ever be arranged.
Yeah. We could. Yeah,
Oh, Giro's one.
a new make tasting. I mean, that's a pretty niche tasting idea, but it could work.
The first couple of new makes, I was like, this is way too much. But when I got into the third, the fourth, the fifth, and so on,
Lolly water, man.
the differences in the flavour were just amazing.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Oh, some of them are great. I'd buy them if they bottled them.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, some in Australia do. Sam, you'll know a bit more about that. I mean, there's a few distillers in Tassie, and I know Peter used to do it over at Belgrove a bit.
Old Kempton's vodka is the tempered down new make, I think.
Right.
Oh.
So I think that's what it is. But I know we don't sell ours because we don't want to sort of waste any. We want to what we make. We want to put straight into barrels.
Mm-hmm.
So our sanitizer sort of came from gin.
Yeah,
so it smells great, and if I could drink it, it would taste like plums. But we're not meant to do that. So,
is that gin next to you at the moment? I can't even see.
No, that's all Society. That's a new bottle that we had. So that's new release.
Is that a Society gin on the far end?
That's the Meta gin.
Oh, Meta gin. Okay,
Ooh.
yes.
I like barrel aged gins.
Yeah. So. Okay. I've not tasted it yet, but it's.
I haven't cracked that one yet, but can never say no to a barrel aged gin. So,
that's my There you go. I'm using the Hartshorn sanitizer at the moment.
Oh, that's the rather.
It's very
gross looking contents, though, isn't it?
Oh, well, it's got sheep whey in it, so it gets a bit sort of gets a bit gluggy.
The Archie Rose one smells lovely.
Oh, yeah.
I can confirm that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the number was. They said that they sold like 50,000 bottles of it or something.
Yeah.
That's absurd. I mean, they were very fast. They were very quick off the trigger with it.
Yeah.
And I've got to give them credit that they all their bar staff that got had no work suddenly, and they just put them all to work in packaging up sanitizer.
Yeah, they should have numbered the bottles because that was one of the things my wife was encountering at Dan Murphy's because they put so much of it in the Dans. It was like people look at bottle numbers and release numbers in order to just keep them.
Yeah.
What are the margin differences? So take it they don't have to pay the taxes and duties, given it's hand sanitizer, not.
Well, I think I remember something
alcohol.
about how they have to have a certain accreditation to not pay the taxes and duties, and it's extremely difficult to get. And a lot of people were applying for it at the same time with an office of one person and a 1960s computer managing the process. It was.
I think the ATO probably had quite a few challenges they were dealing with at the time.
Yeah, I think it was like there's some status, like it's WTO status or something that you had to get to qualify for the tax break on making sanitizer, but and only a couple of distillers I think got it. I mean, what's his Cameron over at Limeburner's got it. I'm pretty sure Archie Rose did as well. I don't know, but it's you'd be paying otherwise the same. You'd be paying the whatever it is. I know that this one's 68.25% or something, so therefore you'd be paying the that much in tax. Which is why they weren't cheap. Which is what there's.
What else is added to it though?
Well, on this, I mean, some of them nothing. This one had a bit of liquid hand cleaner, water, sulfate.
I think it's like hydrogen peroxide and glycerin.
Yeah, don't go drinking these ones.
Yeah, so it's in place to stop people drinking it.
Yeah,
glycerin, citric acid, sodium lauryl sulfate, tetrasodium, blah 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 blah. Food dyes.
Yeah, I get these from occasional. Like I'm under strict control on these things, but these are the Jacks before and after bottlings of charcoal melanating, and they're actually brought down to about 40%, and they're good for tastings because you're able to actually show how the the charcoal mellowing changes the flavor or strips out, certain characteristics.
I was half expecting you to swap out your fez for your jack hat just then as you started. Then
I'll go get one.
Yeah,
no,
sure.
but I need to destroy these bottles every time I'm done with them, because the collector's market is mental for these type of things, and they get flipped so often, and like just dodgy trade on these bottles. So I'm under certain control as to what I do with these bottles each and every time. But the new make spirit in these is fabulous. It's watered down to 40%, but still very, very drinkable.
I've got an idea for how to stop flippers on certain bottles. So what you do is you release something and you put a device on the top of the bottle, and once you take that device off, it opens the bottle. But if you don't take that device off, then the bottle explodes. What do you think?
Yeah.
Given I'm such an avid collector, not drinker, I would probably dislike that.
Well, like that awful pourer that was, I don't know whether they're still doing it, but on the Johnny Walker Gold, it came with this awful pourer for quite often. So
the drippolator,
and you'd go to take the lid off it, and the pourer would break, and then it wouldn't pour. So you would have to like tear it off or dig it with a knife to pop it, and then you would actually be able to pour it. So it was a mess. So that certainly destroyed that bottle.
I am reminded of there's been a few people doing it now, but I think Bemore were one of the first distilleries to do it. They released the last edition of Black Bemore about a year or more ago, maybe like 2 years ago, and it came with almost looked like a grenade pin on the side of the strip here, and so to open the bottle, it had to be torn off, and so therefore it can't be counterfeited. If you see one for sale that's got that on it, it's legit. If it doesn't, then it's
if it can be made, it can be replicated.
Oh, sure, but yeah, I guess so. But it certainly discourages it at the very least, which is
totally.
Is that the pourer? The Johnny Walker Gold
one like that? Yes, they're a mess.
I can't say I've ever. I think I started that and I never really gone anywhere with it.
Yeah,
not really surprising.
Back before I met the society, so you can date the partially open bottle.
You did say you're a slow drinker. That narrows it down. I think there's some trouble entering the stream here. Let's have a look.
It's all over.
Oh, here we go.
If it's actually them, I can't be sure.
You can't be sure.
It's just someone's set up the Zoom name to be the Oak Barrel just to mess with Matt.
Very likely. I've had worse.
I'll just add, this is what I give to people when they come over and say, can I have a Coke with it? You've got to have something that they think is really special that you can pull out from the bottom of the cupboard and put in front of them.
And so a gold flashy bottle fits the bill.
Yeah, and because it's been open for 10 years, it's going to craze grape and Coke.
I see quite often people want to use a Gentleman Jack as a this is fantastic. This yeah. And then they just pour it in the Coke, and you go, hang on, that has been like double stripped in our flavor, and you're gonna comment on how great it is to add to Coke. It's like that's even more flavor of Coke that you've got now than previous. It's like no. But look, it's how people enjoy it, so it's how they enjoy it. What can you do?
Yeah.
Yep. Just realized it turned off.
Yeah, you camera off. I don't know what happened to Oak Barrel here.
Gentleman Jack. Oh my God, what is?
He's got everything.
He's got all the interesting bottom shelf stuff here.
That's it.
That was a contractor on site who gave it as a gift, and it's never been opened.
Have they changed the bottle? No, they haven't changed the bottle. I don't think yet. I think it might have been going through a change. I can't remember now.
No, I think it's the same at the moment.
Yeah. No, I'm still thinking of the Woodford changes. Yeah.
Which have all just bring back the 43.2, whatever you used to have it at.
Yes.
Steve, I love that you're still rocking the hard hat, by the way.
Thanks.
It's a true
just natural.
It just feels comfortable, because
good.
It feels like home.
It's like-
Well, if the old blind wasn't down, this is the office. It's just that my desk is behind us and it's really messy.
meat pie or a sausage roll in one hand, Chardonnay in the other. Hard hat all the way.
Yeah.
Nah, big M.
Bowl of chips.
And Steve's still rocking the towel. I don't know why, but he is. It's still drying.
It's still drying up.
The small alien under that. Oh, go the beanie. Go the beanie. Do it.
It's a hat party. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Hey, all right.
Nice.
All right. Fine.
Yes, the peer pressure
Taken
works.
over. See, it's happened.
There
There we go.
We have a majority.
Hat party. Here we go. Mark Teague says, hang on, is this a Village People reunion tonight? Yeah, sure. Why not?
I don't have nipple tassels on. Come on.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah, like,
I'll have to take your word for that one.
True.
Oh dear. I don't know what happened to Oak Barrel here. I think they've tried to join, but their camera might be having a bit of problem.
Passed out.
Yeah,
It's a
Passed out
ghost.
again. Scotty might be at Wild Rover though. It might be an Oak Barrel join at Wild Rover.
Dear, oh dear. He probably should be at Wild Rover if they're open again. I think they are. No, they're open. They've been off. This guy, just such a troll. Just even a troll whilst he's not in here.
oh man.
He's double timing us. That's what's going on. He's got another tasting happening at the same time.
Double time.
That's it.
Multitasking.
Free advertising. Unbelievable.
Hey, Breville is our official promoter tonight. Come on.
Yeah, that's right. This live stream is proudly presented by Breville. Dear, oh dear.
Waiting for his camera to turn on, and it's just a scrolling banner that's just an advertisement.
Oh, Rory, thank you so much. Rory, stay there just for 1 second. I'm gonna blow up your screen a bit. Thank you so much. Here we go. Now we can all make sure that we're getting that full. Yes.
Wow. Why do I really feel like a coffee at the moment? I really need a coffee right now.
Wow, I wish there was a device on market that could really grind the beans properly and make great coffee. You know what I mean? Oh, look at that. It's amazing.
12 cups. Set a timer so it comes on in the morning and wakes you up with a lovely aroma of coffee through the house.
It's got a timer.
Grind your beans just perfectly.
Yeah, wow.
You could effectively make a 12-cup espresso martini in that. In the morning, ready to go.
That sounds pretty good.
I tried to even go. I can't help but walk past something nice in a shop, though. I went to look at the beans, and it was $5 for a giant pack of beans. Or I could get something a little different for a little bit more. So what really drew me to it was the addition of the notes on the back. Acidity low, body heavy and syrupy, tastes like vanilla, almonds and dark chocolate. And the other was the same on the acidity low, body heavy and syrupy, tastes like toffee, cherry and butterscotch. And I was in because it was like a set of tasting notes. So tomorrow I'm going to have 2 batches of coffee in the morning, and it's going to be a lovely day because I've got to try both now.
Now society now knows how to market directly to you.
Have you heard of Midnight Espresso? I hear that's a great bottle.
Yeah. Yeah, what about it? See, Midnight Espresso is a great bottle. That's a great whiskey. It was yeah, well, if you're gonna have 2 batches, so you're only gonna have 24 cups of coffee for the first thing tomorrow morning.
It was one of the critical elements that I asked the guy. I said, can I make less than 12 cups of coffee with it? Because I make 12 cups of coffee. I'll drink 12 cups of coffee. And then you could just fill it up and just make 4 at a time. So I thought that was 8 for a morning is not going to be too bad.
Oh,
Is there any
You
way of
go
having
to a store.
coffee?
I drink black coffee, no sugar, normally.
Right.
So when you go and
like
get a
2
coffee from a
calories, 2
store,
calories.
and you get, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm pretty skinny. If you've ever met me in person, the long black coffee you get from a store in a medium cup is already 3 shots.
Yeah.
So if this is making 1 shot per cup, then 4 cups is not that bad.
Well, it's only that's fine. Yeah, I'm still a mocha pot on the stove kind of guy. I like just a gas stovetop kind of mocha pot coffee. That does me just fine. I can do a full one of those. Wooler.
Yeah.
What do you think? Here's a question for you. You as you were saying before, you and I have both been involved in here we go.
Mixing it up.
It took a long time for that hat.
Yeah.
It's like a lot
I
of
did also
digging.
have to put the children to bed. It wasn't just an indulgence to find a hat.
Hat gang. I still can't take Steve's suggestion of a hat seriously, though. Sorry.
It's not a legitimate hat, is it?
Well, it can be. It has to be now, doesn't it?
That's what started.
No, I was just going to say, Matt, do you think that what do you think the future of shows and fairs looks like then, from your perspective?
I think
you were saying before, like sending out 45 samples.
Yeah, I think they'll return to the way they were because it's convenient. It's convenient for the brands and it's convenient for the punters.
There's a social element.
And but Australia has always been slow in our evolution as opposed to what we see, let's say even Whiskey Live. And I've always dreamt of going to Whiskey Live Paris.
Yep.
Because what I have seen in the last 10 years, what happens there, it's just like, my God, yes, that is it's not that it's an indulgence, but the level of detail that goes into that and the experience, because it's developed as experiences within an experience. Whereas I do find that things like Live Here, show, all that, which serve a purpose, of course, it's a single level experience. And it's either we don't have the volume in the market or our market is still quite immature to accept that or move towards it. Things like I've spoken to Matt a couple of times about things like Revel and what they do with Mold, Cheese Festival, Pinapalooza, all that, is that I think they've taken that step of events and they demand the brands bring something to the table as opposed to just alcohol. So the brands have to deliver some element of experience as well. And that all adds to layers. And here in Australia, at least from what I've observed in my involvement, because I do work across so many brands and things, is that even dressing up your tables makes such a big difference to the communication and the working with the individuals. But it's still, obviously, it still comes down to the tasting and the alcohol and the volume of money people are willing to spend. And I think as Aussies overall are quite... They still think about what value or how much they can get out of how much they can drink on how much they spend. It's always still there. And that's, I guess, why happy hour is still one of those problems, let's say in Sydney, throughout Sydney. It's no longer happy hour, it's happy hours. It runs from like 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 7 o'clock at night. And it's like, this makes no sense. It's that race to the bottom issue that's going on there, but people then have that expectation. I just think the experience needs to be brought forward more in order to just involve people. It's no longer a drinking session. Look, the early Whiskey Lives that were done here in Australia and my posts about it back in Distant Thunder days were extremely harsh towards all of them, Whiskey Show, Whiskey Live, because it was just a swill fest. They didn't provide any water. They didn't even provide any tipping areas for alcohol. People were disgustingly smashed throughout the experience. And you then would talk to brand ambassadors and they just got totally glazed by the experience as well. They're just like, oh, people are just here to drink. It's whatever.
Well, I'd just love to hear as well, like Annalise and Steve, have you guys been to a whiskey fair show or anything in the last few years at all?
No.
Okay.
So no, can't provide any.
No, I just wondered if you had only because like if there'd been any opportunity to, if there's something that was interested you or.
Oh, look, it would interest us. It's just that we tend to. It's the case that because of the business we run, as far as the tax plan knows, we don't have holidays. So you've got to put everything onto a conference or something, and so you can't say, oh, there's a lovely thing in Paris, I'm going to Paris. You've got to find a conference in Paris at the same time.
Right. Yeah, sure. On that comment of Paris, by the way, Wooler, it's also Whiskey Live Shanghai is the one I absolutely want to check out one day because that's apparently massive these days.
Yeah, I mean it's a cultural thing. Grass is always greener, but I'm sure it's pretty green elsewhere.
Yeah. I've heard a lot about whiskey shows in Japan as well, being incredible.
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, and not live.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know which one in Japan is the best one these days, but I know which one's the best ones in Europe and stuff, but I don't know the Japan ones as well.
I think we had marginal success with Whiskey Fair last year with the stage and the separation.
I'd say massively. It was great.
Yeah.
Great success.
I mean, a lot more management needs to go into it. We need to manage it a lot better. But it's an experiment at the moment. But it sort of brought an experience within an experience, and again, that just sort of goes back to that you can't bring an experience to a crowd if it is 5 people deep, all reaching their hand in with a glass to just get it filled with the oldest whiskey that's sitting on the table. There's nothing there for them.
Well, I mean that was the first step away from moving from a table to the stage. The whole sort of table with outstretched arms kind of thing, shouting about what you're doing. It's kind of like it's like everything I dislike about doing that, and it's like the presenters don't find it enjoyable, and the punters.
But I think most of the time, and this is probably why the stage works so much better, is that that 3/4 of the people there really do want to know, but there's that portion that are just really just there to drink as much as they physically can, and they break the dynamics, or they can't be bothered to wait their turn. They can't be bothered to wait to be involved in the story. And I observe quite often brand ambassadors that become very glazed to the situation to the point where they're not the same people at these shows because they've just done it too many times and they've been burnt by the experience as well, and it just carries, it perpetuates, and the punchers can see that, and they're not as involved as what they could be. I know.
Just give me what you've got under the table, man. That's all I care about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for us, I guess in a more introverted fashion, the preference is then to go to do the individual visits at quiet times and actually build that relationship, find out what's under the table, but in a respectful fashion, I guess, and hear the stories, and that's where we've enjoyed it.
Scotty, welcome.
Oh, he's finally here.
So before
it
was just a bit of light trolling before, but now he's actually here.
Well, I've been busy, and I sort of had it on going, and I was like, "Fuck, I can get in here, can't I?" But I haven't actually been paying attention. So
well, that's obvious. That's obvious because you're not wearing a hat.
Yeah, that's right. Where's the hat?
Do I look like someone who wears hats inside?
You will be. You will be.
Certain very proud country towns that people have been shot for less. That's what the hat rack was invented for.
And the gun rack.
We're in tumultuous times.
Which Pinot are you on tonight?
A new one, a very cheap one. That's not bad actually, but it's something that Joey's just got in. So I'm giving it a bit of a road test in between Janet's.
In between Janet's. And are you off to the Rover tonight or what?
No, Rover's not back yet. Soul Trap's back. Tio's is back. Cantina's back as of 5 p.m. the Savo. Baxter's, Shady's. Obviously, Burrow's been back for a couple of weeks now. The old mates, Duke of Clarence. PS40 back of yesterday as well. So there's a bit to do this weekend.
Yeah, I saw a photo from Baxter's. Someone posted a photo, sent me a photo of the line.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
You can keep that Baxter's line. Oh my god.
Yeah, there's a lot of venues now reopening, so maybe I'll give that a skip. But I still want to get back there as soon as I can. But yeah,
just it's about getting there at 4 o'clock, isn't it?
Mm.
That's
Yes.
the key to Baxter's.
Yeah.
And leaving at 4:01.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody orders a bourbon and coke or a gin and tonic, that's when you leave.
Especially that second one.
I love gin and tonics.
Yeah. We know.
Pays-
That's okay. That's okay.
Pays my wage.
Yeah, but there's nothing. You don't go to the Baxter for them.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the name of the one across the road from Baxter's then?
Duke of Clarence and Barbershop.
Barbershop. That's where you go for a G&T.
They don't let you in through that back door, so you got to walk all the way around the block.
Since when?
Oh, since when? That's always you can always get in the back door there.
I've always come in the back door.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know there was a front door. I need to go in the back door there.
Thanks for that,
Come on, and put it out there. Someone pick it up.
Oh, look who's here.
The man.
Who's here?
Welcome to the hat party.
Yeah.
You got the memo?
I didn't get the memo, so that was just pure coincidence.
Yeah, Scotty's worried about being shot for wearing one inside, so he's not rocking a hat.
Well, I only own one hat, really.
And that's your undies.
Yeah. Actually, no, I lie. I own two hats. I've got a North Star trucker cap, which I can only wear during North Star tastings. And I have another hat, which I'm not allowed to wear east of Lithgow. So, a couple of reasons why I would be shot for it.
So now I'm intrigued as to what that hat is, having done a fair bit of work west of Lithgow.
It starts with ACK and ends with Ubra.
All right.
I mean, the real question is, how.
I was going to say, I don't have a real one, but, I can sort of go with my more country hat.
Well, I mean,
there's a hat supply.
Yeah.
You were digging.
What's going on here? What's going on here? Hard hats.
I figured while I was putting the kids to bed, I'd get them all out. If we're having a hat night.
So this hat means you've got a big farm, right? The bigger the hat, the smaller the farm. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see many cattle tags on the back there, though. So you haven't been to a muster recently, then?
Been to many musters recently, Scott?
No, unfortunately. I had planned Denny this year, but somehow it's been pretty quiet on the old Denny announcement front for the last little while.
Scotty's keen on a bit of prairie oyster here and there, aren't you, Scotty?
Ouch.
I'm keen on anything, mate. How good this? I haven't even done anything tonight, and I've train wrecked the whole thing.
Yeah.
You usually come in hammering. You're like nailing everyone instantly.
Yeah. We're just ready this time. We just got our backs up ready for you. Andrew, what are you drowning on?
All right, Scotty, quick! I better get out this playbook now.
What do we got? I can't see the code on that. What do we got?
40 to 2.27.
42.27.
Smoked aged Riesling, 9-year-old. I can see Mr. Dexter there. G'day, Rory. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Yourself? Sorry, I've got it on mute when I'm not talking.
That's all right.
First running the coffee machine.
You still up north somewhere, mate?
Yep, in Brisbane.
Yeah. Oh, happy Friday to you.
You too. A little bit of trifle delight after some Pete Ferry.
Oh, okay.
He's gone from heresy to heresy.
I used to
I
make
can go get the Jack back out of the cupboard.
Don't forget the gold label.
Not the gold. Yeah, I was going to say not the gold label.
No. Andrew, you reminded me. I found this. It's an empty, of course, but it's 42.41.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, a bit of an earlier 42. Sorry.
Andrew, you're picking your teeth there. So what did you have for dinner?
Well spotted. I've been trying to be subtle about it, but I'm struggling. Actually, I've got the worst palate for whiskey tonight. We've just murdered some Lebanese, so I'm picking garlic and tabbouleh out of my teeth, to be honest. But anyway.
Are you growing a pair of handlebars there as well?
No, it's just top part of the beard is black and bottom part is grey, so it just gives that appearance.
Go the handlebars, I reckon. Just do it. Do it now.
You reckon?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
It was looking good on Monday. By Friday, it struggled.
Yeah.
It gets a reset on Sunday night.
No, my grey normally looks like I've just got 2 big sets of mutton chops and a little moustache. It's but it's a mess.
Perhaps next week we could go for a hat and beard party.
No, Steve, I'm voting for toga. We just go toga.
I'm all for casual, man.
My wife had the delight of pointing out the first grey hairs in my beard today.
Ooh,
it's time to trim back.
Today was the day.
I'll tell you what, I found my first grey pube the other day.
What was it doing in your beard?
No, it was in a kebab. It was terrible.
It was in his teeth.
It's someone else's when it's in your beard.
It was in a kebab. It just wasn't expected.
I bet you still ate that kebab though, didn't you?
And then call it a dirty kebab for nothing.
Oh dear.
I'm sorry, did I bring the tone down?
I mean, yes.
My goodness.
Oh dear.
I might crack another society ball as well.
What are you one?
Older one.
The disappointment from John Buffard that he missed out on that one. He's a pharmacist by trade.
Yeah. I'm still happy I grabbed it.
Yeah, very cool. So that was like 2016.
16?
Yeah,
16 or 17. Yeah.
It was actually a malt of the month in 2016.
Oh wow.
So that's the cover of that outturn was collectively Susie and I's least favorite cover we've ever done, and we still sometimes reference that one as the most unappealing cover art of an outturn ever.
I hope everyone was taking notes then, because I'm planning society trivia down the track, and that's a great one to know.
There you go.
Notepad.
I'll get involved, but I'll lose by a long shot. I know nothing. I know nothing about. All I go on is what the name of it is. I don't read anything else. That's it.
I was seriously lying in bed 2 nights ago. It was about 2 a.m, just absolute insomnia, couldn't get to sleep. And there I was formulating a society trivia night as an event in my head for later in the year. So just lying in bed at night thinking of really weird things that probably no one's going to know the answers to.
Oh, man.
That's always the problem.
Yeah.
Can I host so that Durbridge can absolutely drill Bailey?
There it is. There it is. I knew you just had a Janet. There's the line I was waiting for. Thank you so much.
I was holding it in.
You're very welcome. That's great. Yeah, that's great.
Is this the somewhat mentioned cross-state event earlier?
No. That was a different one. Which we were looking at doing Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide for.
Ooh.
But yeah, that was a different one. And then again, that was sort of like, how would that work later in the year and whatnot? But yeah, there you go. Actually, Andrew, you should talk to Scott Mansfield, because he's written up some cool questions that you might want to collaborate with him on.
Oh, he likes his trivia, Mr. Mansfield.
He does indeed. Yes. Yeah.
I think you could even have a state v state trivia if we could link it all up on one night.
Yeah.
Although I feel like the numbers would have to be limited because we're a little bit disadvantaged here in Brisbane.
I'll tell you what, with Queensland and New South Wales, we've got to have a whiskey state of origin.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, and just to on Mr. Dexter there, it's more the numbers that Queenslanders are disadvantaged at.
Just wait until we separate from the South.
So obviously we need Scotty to commentate the state.
I can just read out Parramatta Brisbane scores if you want.
I'm Formula One, not football.
Mate, the Lotus F1 team finished a little while ago. I hate to break it to you. It's no longer called Lotus.
Scotty, you're a Swannies man, aren't you?
I am, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I used to go to games until people from Sydney started going to them. Bloody hell.
We didn't think people
changed
went.
the game, didn't it?
Oh, there's more face moisturizing and like Zoom, like whatever the thing before Zoom was, that like maybe Instagram stories or whatever it was, than actually watching the game. I end up on like siding with Carlton and Essendon supporters yelling at Swans fans, even when we're winning.
But never with Collingwood supporters. Come on.
Oh no, never with Collingwood supporters.
No. Okay.
Everyone hates Collingwood.
Everyone hates Collingwood.
The very first society tasting I hosted in Melbourne, I went down to Melbourne to host an event. This would have been about 2006, 2007, and thought I'd be clever and work a Collingwood joke into some of my what we used to call the opening monologue.
No.
Did not go well.
Sense of humour, as long as a few other things, is not a strength of Collingwood supporters.
Oh, no.
Neither is teeth.
Yeah. Do you maybe Matt and AD and probably and Wooler as well know Beck from Baker Williams? The distributor Mudgee. Beck is sort of like the BA pseudo whatever. Anyway, big Tasmanian actually, but big Collingwood supporter, and she has more teeth than any Collingwood supporter I've ever met in my life.
On loan.
Yeah, but she did rock up once to drop some stock off the day before the grand final from a couple of years back, when they were beautifully heartbroken by West Coast, and I wouldn't let her in the store while she was wearing a Collingwood scarf. If she wanted me to pay and accept that invoice, she had to take the scarf off and re-enter without
it. She couldn't pass it off as Western suburbs then?
No, because they don't exist anymore. There's like no one knows what Leichhardt Oval is.
There you go. I was just testing you. You passed. Well done.
Yeah, I used to play. Funnily enough, I used to play, and this is like obscure history. Use this question in the society quiz if you want. Absolutely ridiculous, but I used to play Aussie Rules as a kid against West Leagues Club Aussie Rules team. There was about 6 of them, and we drilled them with all 18 of us. I think the Mercy Rule came in about 3 minutes in.
Yeah, I vote for St Kilda, so it's never any joy.
Oh, you and Gadinsky, you get along well.
Yeah. There's a few of us.
Scotty, that's a pretty dark-looking Pinot you got there, though.
Yeah, look, it's an Adelaide Hills something. It's
they're all the same.
14, like $15 on the shelf. So it's literally a road test tonight, which is when I say on that after hours thing that Joey and I do, that this is what we do when we just try whatever's around, so I can be able to sell it. This is literally what we do. So
no, it just comes across very dark in the glass.
Yeah, it's not. Might be the camera. It's actually a little bit. It's darker than the Pinots that I normally drink, but interspersing with Janet just for a bit of flavour, because it's mainly unflavoured alcohol juice in the glass at the moment. It's not a huge amount of flavour, but I think you need food or just something to give this anything at the moment.
Yeah, right. No, I like it.
Selling it.
What was that? Sorry.
You're really selling it.
I don't think he's here for the sales pitch tonight.
Yeah.
No, he was scoring free advertising before. Remember, it's fine. Buy all your booze.
That was Oak Barrel.
Yeah.
Like a $15 wine at the Oak Barrel, and like $15 is good money to spend on a wine. But for us, it's you'd be the second cheapest wine in the store. So
yeah,
as long as it goes down right, it doesn't stop. Commodore Estate, which I think is $10, and it's just wine of Australia.
What's that other one? That's
it's like the Japanese version of whiskey is Commodore. The Australian wine is Commodore Estate. Don't know where it was grown. It was grown. Might have come from Australia at one point. An Australian might have touched a vine somewhere in the world that was cheaper. So,
bodied and robust,
sparkling wine flavored drink.
Yeah. No, we do carry soju as well. That's we do got that.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yogurt flavored alcoholic drink.
Yeah, soju was fantastic. I know what you're talking about.
Hey.
I really rate shochu. Like, and
Likewise.
to be honest, there's like some very expensive $150, $200 shochu that I can't move for the love nor money.
Oh, that's.
But it's bloody awesome. It's full of flavour.
We've got a bottle at our office that someone came back with, and apparently they spent all of $4.20 on it, and it smells and tastes. Actually, Matt, you might have had some. I think I might have waved some under your nose.
I think you did. I remember the one. I remember being quite disgusted by the colour and look of it.
It was instant run to the bathroom sort of stuff.
Yeah. I don't think I tasted it. I didn't. But I did. I think it was one of those things where I nosed it, and that was about it.
Oh, I tell you what, if ever I just am depressed at work and feel the need to dry retch, I have a sniff and a taste of it, and it just...
Hey, Scotty,
who needs digestives when you've got that?
Regestives.
Yeah. But funnily enough, we haven't. So shoju is like in the full bottle, $150, like Japanese distilled from sweet potato and barley and a few other things, like really cool stuff. But we do need to have a little bit of shoju, which we experimented with earlier this year.
Yes.
We've maybe ordered like 18 bottles in total, like every 6 months. So we are not a big account. But I think with all the karaoke bars closed, they're a little bit bored because we ordered some on this Monday just to restock, and it was here that afternoon with every piece of paraphernalia you can think of. I have boxes. What I'm drinking my Janet's out of right now, actually, is a shoju shot glass.
Look, for everyone playing at home, Scotty, can you explain what a Janet is for those playing at home? I mean, you and I know what Janets are, but
that's wrong way around. Would anyone like shoju posters? Because I have a lot.
I'm good, thanks.
Flavor ones.
I think Breville just got bumped from being the sponsor tonight.
Yeah. I felt really sorry for the bloke because he was like, just take him. And I was like,
please.
There's really nowhere else to give these to right now. We're the only order you've had in,
hold on. Do you have more soju posters or more Buffalo Trace posters at the moment? Which ones have you got more of?
Definitely soju. I have more flags of Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace flags. That's right.
And weird things that don't stick to the wall that fall off and make loud noises that have Buffalo Trace written on them.
Scotty, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
With your promotion of Suntory behind you, it actually made me think about the fact that have we seen demand for things like the Suntory's drop with this whole COVID thing? Like Japanese whiskey, that demand for
premium spirit at the very
label,
least.
yeah, it's like have people stopped?
It's been really interesting, and to be honest, with Suntory, because the allocations are quarterly, it's not quite big enough of a sample group to find whether that is. What I will say is, across the board, and everyone I've spoken to, every rep, every brand ambassador, every brand manager that I've spoken to, it's been the value option. So Australian whiskey for me has stopped on a dime pretty much, because it's a luxury, right?
Yep.
And it's expensive and it's all that sort of thing. So, and a really good example of that is Starwood Nova and Starwood Twofold. Exactly the same whiskey, really. Same cask management. One is a single malt, the other one is 60% wheat, 40% barley. Pretty much sell 1 for 1 for us up until the start of COVID. And when I say the start of COVID, we didn't sell anything for 2 weeks. So it was like the third week in when people started to come back to us to buy.
Yep.
And Twofold is outstripping it by a long, long way because they're looking for value. On the other side of that, the super premium. So when we're talking about Pappy Van Winkle, Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, Michter's, 10 and 20-year-olds, that super things, people who were in with the money to buy that sort of stuff that, were still in jobs or whatever, saw a bit of an opportunity because stuff was coming back from the on-premise. No one knows how long that was going to last for. And so I managed to get a bit off that. And I remember quite vividly, about 3 weeks in, there was some quite harsh decisions were about to be made at the Oak Barrel in terms of how many days we open, how many staff we employ. And we all sat around and had the course like, okay, if this figure doesn't happen, all those bills that we have to pay regardless, we can't pay. So let's pull something out of the ether. And was lucky, and that really saved us to pull that through. So it was quite funny to see the super high end, people seeing an opportunity of stuff they would never get access to because it was all on premise allocated, or it's a one only thing. with distributors and bottle stores. And obviously, there's a few bottle stores that absolutely flew. Suburban bottle stores where you could back the truck up and just buy everything for the end of the world. Yep. They flew, and that was, good on them, bloody great. But they saw an opportunity to maybe stock up on a few things that they wouldn't necessarily get access to. But that middle ground, just there, that middle ground sort of died out. So like when you it's a bit of a tough one, but mainly it's a big value offering has been the game at the moment.
Do you think that some of that impact of people not socially connecting means that you can't show something off, and therefore if you can't show it off, therefore you don't buy it as well? That element of buy because other people say you should buy, and therefore you can be seen having that product.
A little bit. We're not necessarily that sort of bottle store, but what we are as a bottle store is a hand sell.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Like, my goal is someone to walk in and see the whiskey shelf and go, I don't know any of these brands. That for me is a win. And then I can hand sell, exciting things and tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we haven't had anyone walk in the door. Yeah. We've been the most expensive, booze pick and pack warehouse in the country, being smack bang in the CBD. So we lost that. So we were only buying things that we knew that we could sell.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, like I approached Suntory up because we got our regular allocation. It was only a couple of weeks ago. I said, hey, if there's anything left, we're out. We're happy to take it. We'll pay this month rather than next month to meet margins or whatever you need to do. It's only been this week really when I've been game enough to actually experiment with a couple of things. We had the Infrequent Flyers, a new indie bottler, which is Alistair Walker, completely unknown in this country and really around the world, apart from the fact it's Billy Walker's son. So give that a go. We've just got we'll find out next week, a bit of the Aussie stuff back in. So Joadja's first paddock to bottle, which should have been a huge celebration. Get some of the country to coast from Florio and Blackgate and some of the other stuff from those two distilleries.
Mm-hmm.
Bakery Hill have a new release, the Blunderbuss, which you get a little bit of in very, very small quantities. Just to dip our toes into the water a little bit and see exactly how that plays out. But yeah, it's been a very much for the past 3 months, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of it's been, if I already didn't have a buyer for it, and I can't guarantee that we're going to sell it, then no, I'm sorry.
See, that's something I haven't even really thought about much. Is let's say for the smaller distilleries, Aussie distilleries, obviously they're planning 3 months, 6 months, a year ahead as to what they're releasing, because of and of course they got small volume, but they also sell to locations like Oak Barrel because they know that you guys can also sell the product. But if there's not the walk-in traffic to support that concept, those small distilleries must be really suffering in that sense as well.
Yeah, look, I've heard it a little bit from, and as I said earlier, like there's some bottle stores that are a little bit more suburban. So like we're for people who aren't familiar with the Oak Barrel, smack bang CBD, we have no parking. You can maybe get away with parking in the loading zone and not getting a ticket, or you can pay Wilson parking across, about 30 seconds away and pay you $10. Like that's the only way. Otherwise, you get a train in and out. That's just the reality of where this old bottle store is and that sort of thing. So we missed that whole flurry. Fine, okay, we'll find a way around that.
Yep.
So like the hand sell went out the window, and a lot of the whiskies we stock are hand sells. Like unless you are a whiskey nut, you're probably not gambling on $180 Cadenhead Dow Ewans or Infrequent Flyers or the stuff that you didn't. Which is why like I had to go back and was like, this is going to sell online without me getting on or whatever. But I guess the thing is, and I guess through all of this, the Oak Barrel is 1956. It was founded. We're a 64-year-old business. I'm a firm believer, and this is again quite influenced by my period as a journalist. Mastheads, great mastheads, Vanity Fair, New York Times, Time Magazine, the Daily Mirror, all these like great mastheads, they've got a shelf life. And normally, if you are excellent, it's about 30 or 40 years.
Yep.
Businesses, like you see, like David Jones and Myers, the last couple of years, huge names, their shelf life is pretty much done. So for us, it was a big test of, okay, this is a very old business with some very old practices. It costs us incredibly, stupid amounts of money to play in e-commerce with all the old membership things and business practices and pricing structures that make absolutely no sense right now, but did 15 years ago or 30 years ago when they were implemented. And you can't just rip them up because you have all these people that supported you that you're going to, fall out. So if we, and hopefully now we did, it was a Friday night and we had, a little bit of traffic through. Our limit is 25. We never had anywhere near 25 people in the room, in the bottle store, but, 5 at a time, that was pretty good for us, considering. So that for me has been the biggest thing. And to be completely honest, if we were in real trouble now, we probably deserved it.
Yeah.
It's harsh, but a business that is not modern enough to do this, and we will always keep a bricks and mortar element or go under that, because that's what the Oak Brothers, you want to come and touch the wall.
Yeah.
If we had failed in this, the greatest test potentially in the 64 years of the business, if we didn't get through that, then we probably don't deserve to be here.
Yep.
We can keep chatting. I'm just going to kill off the live though, because it's been going for quite a while. But thank you everyone who's been watching along at home, and hope everyone's having a great Friday night and looking forward to a long weekend ahead. Except for those in WA who don't get a long weekend, but everyone else does. So well. Until next time, I'll see you all on Tuesday. Thank you so much, those watching at home. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.